Hello everyone, and welcome back to this random bullcrap I'm doing. As you can see, my brother has taken the whiteboard from me for now, so I can't use it. Best I can give you is me reading the stuff and then explaining it as we go. So, let's do that, I guess. So, we last left off with, the things that classify something as alive, which I'm not re-explaining. Go watch the other video. You might expect me to say it's linked right here. No, go do it yourself. Stop being lazy. Stop it. But today's microscopes, because that's what we noted down in class, because we had to do a microscope lab. It was cool. I gotta fix my collar. Alright, so microscopes. Microscopes aid in studying the tiny little bullcrap that exists in this world. So, you sneeze, the little germies that come out of your mouth and nose. Microscopes help us study that. Random dust particles. Electron microscopes help us study electrons, because it's in the name. Stop being an idiot. The first microscopes were made in the 1st century AD. They were invented by... they were made by filling a little glass globe with water. That was effectively just a magnifying glass for them, compared to what we have today. Because back then they couldn't make it to where, I can see the little tiny bacteria that came out of, I don't know, my foot. Or, you know what I'm trying to say here. They didn't have it to where they could see the little tiny thingies in the world. They had it to where they could see some smaller stuff. Of course, they could see some cells, technically, out of any... Well, no, not yet. That actually came later. They could see... It's basically a magnifying glass. You know? The thing you use to burn ants because you're a prick. So, during the Middle Ages, the 1100s, lenses were introduced. Such as, like, glasses make... People who make glasses, you know? These things that I need to see. That make existing pain. These things. Half of you probably have them. Anyways. They were invented then, and people would also use them to make telescopes to look up at the stars, because people like space. Half of you were probably a space kid when you were younger, or you still are. Maybe you like making spark plugs in Kerbal Space Program. I don't know, man. You do you. That's all I know. But yes, they would use glass lenses, and the first one was made by, this guy is right? Yeah, Zacharias I don't know how to speak the Swedish. I think it is Zacharias Jansen is what my notes say. Actually, he's Dutch, so that's the Netherlands. Zacharias Jansen. He was a glasses maker. You know, these things, again, will make existing painful for me. And existing in general. It's painful. He used them. He mounted two lenses onto a set. He mounted two lenses onto a set of adjustable tubes. So, you know, you can adjust them to magnify to certain levels. Then early compound, and then, so, you know how microscopes are today? It's the little stand with the thing and the thingy, and you know, there's the ad where the kid likes the girl and he gets freaking pink eye from them. Those things. They used to be 2 feet long. It was basically a freaking telescope. It was just I don't know how long 2 feet is to measure with my arms. I don't even know how long my arms are. I got short arms, but they're about like that, and you just look at stuff. So yes, so then the 1600s came around, and Anton von Leeuwenhoek, I believe is how we say his name. I forgot how to say it. I'm gonna say Anton Meathook, because that sounds cooler. So, Senor Meathook over here, he ground glass lenses to make them... What does this say? Yes, so he took glass lenses, he would grind them, and make them effectively end up being smaller than the ball on a pen. The little tip of the pen, when you, like, click it, that, smaller than that. It's pretty small. what does this even say? Holy cow, my handwriting is terrible. Simple microscopes. Oh, this is what it says. And back in that time, simple microscopes, which would have been a magnifying glass to what we currently have today, so think the older versions, but not water, rather a glasses lens, were used to inspect merchandise. So they would be used by jewelers, all sorts of people, just to figure out what this thing was or what condition it was in. Simple microscope, yeah. Over 200 microscopes were made at this time. I know compared to what we have today, that seems like very little, but you gotta understand, this was the 1600s. To them, that was a lot. Like, if you brought $1, it's like, actually, no, that's a bad comparison. They didn't have dollar bills back then. But I'm playing too much Red Dead. I love that game. But yes, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, or as I call him, Senior Meathook, was considered the father of microscopes. And oh yes, here's a cool interesting fact. So microscopes in that time never saw anything past 20 times magnification, right? Whereas a microscope that like we used in our labs and stuff could see it 400 times magnification. I saw the particles of algae with that thing. 400 times magnification as opposed to 20 times magnification. I could have looked at anything at that point. I might as well incorporate this in the video because it kind of makes sense to start it. What is an atom? Well, as we all know, atoms are the building blocks of life, as opposed to what Jurassic Park taught you. They said it was DNA. It's not. It's atoms. DNA is different. DNA is made of atoms. Remember that. So, an atom is the fundamental... Oh yes, atoms are the fundamentals of chemistry. So, all types of atoms, you gotta figure out what connects to what. I haven't taken chemistry yet. I'm doing that next year. Hopefully I don't make meth or blow something up. The government's gonna kill me for this one. So a strand of human hair, for instance, my hair, my luscious locks, if you can't tell, it's beautiful, contains over 500,000 of them. Just one itty bitty strand of them, of this stuff. 500,000 atoms. It was thought at one point that there was no end into how small something could go. Which then, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading my horrible pen handwriting. Which can be asserted without evidence can be rejected. Oh yes, so it said that which can't. So my notes here say that which can be asserted without evidence can also be refuted without evidence. Basically saying if you make an uneducated claim without evidence, I can just refute that without evidence too, which makes sense if you think about it. So, a pure substance can be broken down into... So a pure substance, such as like simple carbon, can be broken down into other living things. I believe that's what it means by pure substance. I'm probably wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not a genius. So, compounds, for instance, are when two elements form together into one thing, such as carbon monoxide. It is carbon, and it is 1 gram carbon and 2.33 oxygen. I'm assuming it means grams. I don't have that measurement labeled. I'm assuming. Yeah. And also, here's a fun fact. 1905, Albert Einstein configured a formula to find atoms. So, atoms make up something known as matter. And matter is anything that takes up space. I had an old science teacher, and she would always say this one little thing. She would always say, you have mass and take up space, therefore you matter. The way it begins sounds like she's calling you fat, and then it ends off on a happy note, but it kind of sounds like a kind of just like trying to find something on the bright side of things type of compliment that like your grandparents would give you. But I mean, it's endearing enough, I guess. Who knows? So all matter, for instance, is made up of atoms, such as my T-shirt that I'm wearing under a lab coat, and my lab coat, for instance. They're all made of atoms. I like this lab coat. It's nice. So the nucleus of the atom is the ball thing in the middle. The little thing where everything happens inside of it. You know, that thing. It's like the reactor of the atom. Not like a cell. That's the mitochondria. We'll get to that later. It's the boring chapter. Neutrons are yes. I'm having a stroke. So a neutron is a neutral charge equal in mass to the atom, or to a proton. I meant to the proton. If it was equal in mass to the atom, it'd be an atom. That'd be weird. But yes, it's equal in mass to a proton. The ideal atom has the same number of protons and neutrons. An isotope is different number. Different number of protons and neutrons. An electron is negatively charged, and a proton is positively charged. And you never really find them in the same place. A proton and neutron are always going to be located inside the nucleus. An electron is going to be the thing orbiting around it like a planet, having a high on crack or having a spasm or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm having a spasm reading. Don't you ever feel that? You having a spasm? I feel like my whole life is a spasm. It's fun. Alright, next part is going to be bonds. Not bonds like jail bonds or bonds. I can't make that joke on YouTube, but use your brain for 5 seconds and you'll figure out where I'm heading with that one. But I'm going to have to end it off here because I've gone over my time and that I have allotted myself to do this. And I don't feel like reading the rest of this tonight because I already feel like I'm having a stroke. Woo. So, I don't know. Go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. You need sleep. Go drink some water too. Drink water and go to sleep. You need it. You need it. I can see you behind your screen. A little bit. You need it. You need to sleep. Goodbye.